Welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey here with a fresh batch of rather intriguing NFL rumors and some head coaching updates here as searches begin. We're going to begin with old Jimbo, Jim Harbaugh, not Jimbo Fisher, by the way. Jim Harbaugh had a virtual interview with the Broncos on Monday, making him the first head coaching interview in the 2023 NFL head coaching carousel. He has said previously he expects to be back at Michigan enthusiastically. Then he does an interview with the Broncos. I'll make note that I think we're just in the era of Harbaugh rumors because this time last year, he was in the running for the Minnesota job. As near as I can tell, did not get it. Then says he's done exploring head coaching jobs and if I was going to stick at Michigan, the Michigan man, we lasted less than a year before we're doing this all again. Because Harbaugh's once again looking. He was in contact with Carolina. I'm sure Indy will be in the mix here, given his ties to that organization. Denver's firmly involved here as well. It's all very interesting. Harbaugh's had success everywhere he's gone, but he doesn't end up staying that long in one place. It's the pro is he's Jim Harbaugh. He wins a bunch of games, successful coach. The con is he's Jim Harbaugh. He can be a bit a unique personality, I'll call it, but he is successful. So the big fish for Denver. I don't think you'd be mad if you got him involved as your head coach. The other known interview requests, again, it's formalities, but Broncos DC, think I'm pronouncing the name right, Evero, who was also a Harbaugh assistant, by the way, at one point in San Francisco, I believe. Raheem Morris, the Rams defensive coordinator. DeMeco Ryans, the Niners defensive coordinator. Sean Payton has been linked to Denver. He's in contact there. And Dan Quinn has also been requested. So those are the 5 names we know so far for the Denver Broncos head coaching search. But prediction time. Will Jim Harbaugh jump to the NFL this year? Why for yes? And for no, go vote for me in the comment section. Let's move to Aaron Rodgers, as Rodgers has left the door open to retirement. As what year is it for Jim Harbaugh? What year is it for Aaron Rodgers? Doing the whole thing again. Signed the massive extension last offseason. Is he going to get traded? Is he going to retire? Is he going to return? And we're going to do it again because time is a flat circle. Here's what Rodgers said after the Packers limit for playoffs. At some point, the carousel comes to a stop. It's time to get off. I think you kind of know when that is, and that's what needs to be complicated. Is it contemplated? Is it time? Also, what is the organization doing? That's part of it as well. But the competitive fire is always going to be there. I don't think it ever goes away. I feel good about what I've accomplished in this league and wouldn't have any regrets walking away, but I've got to see what it feels like once I get away from this. So, doors open. Rodgers will take some time off and see how he feels and then maybe come back. Maybe not. Maybe he'll manipulate the Packers to doing some things he wants to do again. Pin comment. I can't believe we're doing it again. We did this exact same thing like this time last year. What will Rodgers do? Type P for play, R for retire. The ad break comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. The 2022 version of Aaron Rodgers was not the one we're accustomed to seeing. He wasn't nearly as good as he was in his MVP years. A shockingly high number of interceptions for Rodgers. I mean, relative to what he's done over his career, that's a startlingly high number. Green Bay made the run. They will win and in Week 18. And Kirby Joseph said, not so fast, Rodgers. And Green Bay came up short. Then there was the whole hey, can I get your jersey? And Rodgers said, I'm going to hold on to this one. Which is is that because it's your last jersey? Or are you just being awkward Rodgers guy and you don't know yet? If it's not Rodgers at QB for Green Bay, it's Jordan Love, who played a little bit and I don't know if he was that bad, but he didn't really play all that much. And Danny Etling is not an NFL caliber player. He was on the practice squad to be a futures guy for Green Bay. The trade option, I guess, could reappear, but it's tricky. The $58.3 million option bonus that's due this year and is paid out in 2025 is basically a player option for Aaron Rodgers of do I want to keep playing? If so, I'm locking myself into some money down the road. It makes it very complicated to be traded. There's a 2024 option for guaranteed money in 2026. So it's kind of if you're playing, we're going to pay you big bucks. If you're not playing, well, then we don't have to pay you anymore. So you're paying a lot of money for Rodgers, who wasn't the same this year, and I think that makes you worry just given his age for the future Hall of Famer. Of course, he's a no doubt Hall of Famer. Today's NFL Daily is sponsored by Fume. We all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard they can be to kick those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. I'll be honest, I didn't expect that much from Fume when I got it, but the minty sensation is powerful and hits the back of the throat properly. The Journey Pack, which you can get now, comes with 3 unique flavors for you to enjoy. It's maple pepper, crisp mint, and a white cranberry. My actual preferred flavor there is the white cranberry. Got my Fume right here. Fume is not a vape, by the way. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code ChatSports to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com/chatsports and use code ChatSports to save an additional 10% off on your order today. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. Trade rumor season is here / maybe really getting a week away here, or a couple weeks away from really getting going. But Brandin Cooks already opening the door again. Seems to want out of Houston, which is not the first time we've heard this since he was nearly out at the trade deadline. And he had a great Week 18 as Texans won a game and cost themselves the number 1 overall pick. Bears fans once again saying, thanks, Lovey. But Cooks doesn't want to be around a bad team. Here's what he said to media. I'm not looking at it as far as being as part of a rebuild, however that looks. That's why I trust my camp and my representation to be able to get a map from here to there and to see what that looks like to be a part of something that has a trusted plan. And that opens up the door for if Houston lays out a good, quick turnaround plan, which seems complicated for a team that is on its 4th head coach in as many years, if we include interims. Not very good. Cooks had a down year. Pretty a consistent 1,000-yard receiver when healthy. Did miss some time this year, but the Texans were bad. They averaged like 17 points per game. That's really terrible. Got to figure out what you're going to do from there. So where will Brandin Cooks play in 2023? Houston, I think, is still an option. A cut, a trade, all viable situations there because he's kind of expensive coming off a down year. Get those predictions in. Where will Brandin Cooks play in 2023? Let's hit some coaching carousel updates for you guys, a head coach tracker, if you will. The Colts coaching search is underway. They fired Frank Reich midseason. Jeff Saturday made it very clear in his season wrap-up press conference that it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. He took zero accountability, said he still wants the head coaching job after being, call it what it is, objectively terrible as a head coach who has no background, no experience. He'll probably get an interview because Jim Irsay loves him. We'll see. There's a bit of a power struggle going on between Irsay and Chris Ballard, excuse me. And that makes things dicey. The known Colts interview requests Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson of the Detroit Lions, Raheem Morris of the LA Rams, Shane Steichen of the Eagles. Go back to the Eagles OC. Well, it seems a bit dicey. Keep an eye on Leslie Frazier, by the way, for this job. And we'll keep you guys covered with all the latest on the head coaching searches across the NFL. Non-stop NFL news and rumors all year long. Hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/@chatsports. Let's go to Carolina now. The Panthers, of course, fired Matt Rule midseason. And interim Steve Wilks did a much better job than Rule did. He will have a shot at the gig. A lot of early buzz is, it's probably not the route they're going to end up going, but he's certainly deserving of, at minimum, an interview. And I think as he continues to rehab his defensive coordinator stock and everything else, he'll probably get some other interviews, whether it's this year or maybe down the road there. Panthers are in a better spot than I think the way we felt about them, despite fewer worse draft pick because of what Wilks did. But figuring out quarterback is still the number one problem. Don't get fooled by Sam Darnold, folks. Their interviews, requests, of course, that are known. I guess the first one's actually a scheduled interview. Jim Caldwell does not need to be requested. He's jobless right now. OCs Ken Dorsey and Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is he's the sexy name now for the NFL coaching searches. We'll see if he gets a job, but he did a great job with the Lions as the OC. Frank Reich, former Colts head coach. I love that hire by Carolina. Shane Steichen will also be a very popular candidate. He's a good name to watch in Carolina. Mike Kafka, the Giants offensive coordinator, might be a year away, but he'll be in the mix. And, of course, aforementioned Steve Wilks. 5 jobs are open. So what's the best head coaching job? This is a tough one for me to really figure out. IND for the Indianapolis Colts, CAR for the Panthers, HOU for the Texans, ARI for the Cardinals, DEN for the Denver Broncos. No real updates as we sit here from this. I'm sure we'll get more later today about what the Cardinals are going to do. But for now, all those are the only 5 jobs open. If you could take one, if you were a head coach candidate, what would be your number 1 spot? Vote for me in the comment section. Finally, Houston. They fired Lovie Smith after 1 season. If we include the interims, they've had 4 coaches since 2020. It was Bill O'Brien, it was Romeo Crennel, it was David Culley, and it was Lovie Smith. Instability for the Texans org is a real concern right now. They have the number 2 overall pick, but like you mentioned with the Brandin Cooks conversation, they're still rebuilding. Their head coach interview requests. Ben Johnson, again. Keep an eye on DeMeco Ryans and Jonathan Gannon, 2, I think, pretty promising young defensive coordinator minds. Gannon and Ryans are both in the mix last time around. Shane Steichen and Broncos DC Evero as well. That is it for all the latest on the NFL. We'll have another video for you guys later this afternoon, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out.